We're going to be walking through the NoRedInk how to create an argument writing assignment, and since we are doing this remotely, this seemed to be the best way to help you guys with your argument papers. So we've assigned it as a guided draft in NoRedInk, which I know you all love and are super excited about doing more of. So this is a little bit different than your normal NoRedInk because it is a guided draft, and I want to walk you through step by step to show you how it works. Now, what you're first going to do is go to your dashboard. Now, I'm looking at it as a teacher, so my screen is going to look a little bit different. You should have your dashboard up here with your assignments where you normally go for your NoRedInk assignments and your class. Once you're there, all you need to do is click on this assignment as you normally would. I'm actually going to preview it so that it looks a little bit more like it would for you. So the first thing that you're going to see is it takes you through a tutorial on writing an argumentative essay. Now, we are not going to necessarily discuss how you write an argumentative essay in this screencast, because the thing that I want to do is make sure that you understand how this works with NoRedInk. So we're actually going to be using some examples, but we're not going to be talking in depth about how to write your argumentative paper. Hopefully you already know how to do that. But it will ask you to skip through this to walk through this tutorial. It takes you through all of the parts of an argumentative essay that hopefully you are already completely familiar with and excited about getting started with. So the introduction, of course, is to grab the reader's attention with your hook, to create a great thesis based on the research that you've done, to state your opinion, and have a bridge in the middle to hook the two together. So once you've gone through the introduction, it talks about your body paragraphs, which essentially for the purposes of my class will be pie paragraphs, because they include a claim, they should include evidence, and they should include an explanation on how it all ties together. So your body paragraphs, you can have as many of those as you want in NoRedInk. We'll talk about how to do that in a second, but it will walk you through essentially what should be in there here, and it's going to make you write at least 2 in this module. My suggestion, you should have at least 3. All right, and after you have included your body paragraphs, one of which will be a counter argument paragraph for this particular module, it will take you into the conclusion. And this is where we restate the main points of our essay, we talk about our thesis again, and we tie it all up together. And I'm not going to go through the useful tips because you can get back to the screen and also the tips that it gives you as you're writing your essay, so I'm going to skip that part just in the interest of time. All right, so here we are on the screen. You guys are not going to have this bar up at the top, obviously, because you don't have preview mode. But what we're going to do as far as the prompt here, my classes, it will say your focus question here because the prompt will be the question that you have been focusing on as you've been doing your research for this paper. So everyone's prompt is going to be a little bit different, but this is essentially the issue that you've been looking at as you've been researching. So that's what that is. If you want to look at some of the things that we're going to be looking at as we grade these papers, you can actually look at specific examples of what a thesis statement should be, what a topic sentence should be, what a piece of evidence should be, all of those things. I'll give you examples over here on this rubric button. And if you go down to this, what's an argumentative essay, it kicks you back into the tutorial that we just watched, which we don't need to watch again. We're going to keep going. All right, so once you've become completely familiar with how that's all working, over here we are going to start with our title. And for the purposes of an example, Mr. Field used online dating the other day, so I'm going to do the same. Online dating. Caveman, ooh, in the basement. That's going to be my title of my paper. I know. You like it, it's funny, you're welcome. And once you've got your title, and which you can come back and change, by the way, anytime you would like, you're going to begin your paper with this section, add your introduction. Now notice, every time I click on one of these different specific parts of my paper, a different menu pops up over here on this side of my screen that directly relates to what it is that I'm working on. And I can click any of these buttons to help me see the tutorial. I can look at examples again, and I can click through these menus to give me some tips and tricks and different examples as well. So all of that will be right there as you're writing your stuff. So let's talk about your introduction. Your introduction, like we said, should contain a hook, a bridge, and a thesis, at least if you are in my class. And these are the things that I'll be looking for. Is your hook interesting? Is it a funny story? Is it a question? Is it a quotation? I don't care what you use, but does it draw the reader in is basically what we're looking for. And your thesis, is it something that is arguable? And is it something that you have information to support? So we'll be talking in depth about what a thesis is. That's not the place. This is not the place to do that. So your introduction should contain those three things. And here are where your body paragraphs begin. So we've got, for my class, essentially, your body paragraph should start with a topic sentence. They should include examples or illustrations, and they should also include your explanation of why those things matter. So essentially, that's what they are, pie paragraphs. So we're going to put a couple of them in here. Number 2. And you have to have, for the sake of symmetry, I'm going to put 3. You can have paragraph more. And just think that because it says body paragraph 1, that does not necessarily mean that you only have to have one paragraph here. If you're arguing one specific point, I would actually include the entire argument of that point in one of these sections. So your body paragraphs can actually probably be more than one. So that's you can work through that. We might come back to that later. But here we are. We've got our, just for the sake of examples, we've got our body paragraphs, and I feel like I've done a good job arguing my point. And now I need to address the counter argument, which is where I'm going to, your counter argument is the one that goes against the point you're trying to make. And essentially, basically what you're doing is you're addressing it and you're debunking it and you're telling everyone why yours is better and why they should believe you. And so in order to do that, you do have to talk about the counter argument. And once you have done that, you can go on to your conclusion. So you're going to add in, you're going to restate your thesis, not in the same words, please, we can tell. And you're going to revisit your evidence, generally not in exhaustive detail because that would be a whole other paper. And you're going to tie it all up. And once you've done that and you feel like you've got a pretty good handle on what's going to happen, you can save it. I would save it all along as you go so you're not losing any of your work. It will save it as a draft without submitting it to us as your teachers to grade, and I would suggest that you do that in every, once you've got your title, save it. Once you've got your introduction, save it. Once you've got your body paragraph, save it. And you can come back and work on your draft again and again and again before it's submitted. So as you're working on it, make sure that you save it. I'm not going to press this button right now because it will kick me out and we'll lose all this. So the other thing that you need to know, once you have looked at this and edited it and revised it and had peer reviewed it and looked at it again, and you're feeling really good about your writing and it's met all the stipulations that we have asked you to make sure that it meets, you can go up here to submit. You can only do this once. It's not going to let you go back. So what I would suggest that you do is press this button so that you can go back and look at it one more time before you hit that submit button. And once you've gone through it and you're still satisfied with it, you've included your periods where they go and your semicolons and your capitalization is correct and your spelling is right, then you're going to submit your writing. And it will show up on your teacher's dashboard to be graded. Okay, well, if you have any questions, you can check in with your particular English teacher. Hopefully this has been helpful. Bye, guys.